Formulation of national trade policies. Chapter Objectives. Present the major arguments in favor of and against governmental intervention in international trade. Identify the advantage and disadvantage of adopting an industrial policy. And describe the major tools countries use to restrict trade. Analyze the role of domestic politics in formulating a country's international trade policies. Specify the techniques countries use to promote international trade, and explain how countries protect themselves against unfair trade practices. Issues on trade intervention. Should a national government intervene to protect the country's domestic firms by taxing foreign goods, entering the domestic market, or constructing other barriers against imports? Should a national government directly help the country's domestic firms increase their foreign sales through export subsidies, government to government negotiation, and guaranteed loan programs? Free trade or fair trade? Free trade. Minimal influence from government. In fair trade, active intervention from government. National defense argument. Country must be self-sufficient in critical raw materials, machinery, and technology, or else be vulnerable to foreign threats. Infant industry argument. Imposition of tariffs to give U.S. firms temporary protection from foreign competition until firms are fully established. Maintenance of existing jobs. Jobs in high-wage countries threatened by imports from low-wage countries. Strategic trade theory. National government can make its country better if it adopts trade policies that improve the competitiveness of its domestic firms in oligopolistic industries. Barriers to international trade. Tariff barriers. Export tariff, transit tariff, import tariffs, ad valorem, specific and compound, non-tariff barriers, quotas, numerical export controls, product and testing standards, restricted access to distribution networks, public sector procurement policies, regulatory controls, currency controls, investment controls, and local purge requirements. Controlling unfair trade practices. International Trade Administration. Division of U.S. Department of Commerce. Determines whether an unfair trade practice has occurred. Confirm cases transferred to U.S. International Trade Commission. Two types of unfair trade practices: government subsidies and unfair pricing practices. Objectives of unfair trade practice laws: promote global efficiency by encouraging productions in those countries that can be produce a good most efficiently. Ensure that trade occurs on the basis of comparative advantage, not the size of government subsidies. Protect consumers from predatory behavior. Tariffs. A tax placed on an imported or exported good involved in international trade. Quantitative restrictions. Trade barriers that impose a numerical limit on the quantity of a good that may be imported or exported. Other non-tariff barriers, government laws, regulations, policies, or procedures that impede international trade. Promotion of international trade, subsides, foreign trade zones, FTZ, and export financing programs.